Welcome to the TTT News Special. I'm DK Rasta. TTT has collaborated with FilmTT and ExporTT to partner with the Mexican Embassy to showcase Mexican's movie days on Sunday, 15th August 2021. Now, Charge d'Affaires, Mexican Embassy in Trinidad and Tobago, Rodrigo Vazquez Ortega, Film Commissioner of FilmTT, Wills-Caton, and the General Manager, ExporTT, Dhanraj Harrypersad, join us to discuss this project. And Madam Film Commissioner, I want to start off with you. Thank you. What were the main drivers to attempt a project like this?
Hi, good evening. Well, what it is that the Trinidad and Tobago Film Company were a part of the Latin American and Caribbean Film Commissioners Network. And so this is one of the main...
We ask you to pause, please.
Can you hear?
Yes, we can hear you.
Dyke?
And I'm very glad that we paused. So it's DK, but yes, sorry.
DK. Okay, sorry, DK.
No problem.
I just one thing actually. When you name me, my name is Rodrigo, and my last name is Vazquez. You said Rodriguez, and it's Rodrigo. It's just for that. Okay, DK. Thank you very much.
Disculpe. Welcome to the TTT News Special. I'm DK Rasta. TTT has collaborated with FilmTT and ExporTT to partner with the Mexican Embassy to showcase Mexican's Movie Day on Sunday, the 15th of August, 2021. Now, Charge d'Affaires, Mexican Embassy in Trinidad and Tobago, Rodrigo Vazquez Ortega, Film Commissioner, FilmTT, Wills-Caton, and General Manager of ExporTT, Dhanraj Harrypersad, they join us to tell us more. And we want to start with the Film Commissioner, thank you, asking what were some of the main drivers to execute a project like this?
Hey, thank you. For several reasons, Trinidad and Tobago, as well as Mexico, were a part of the Latin American and Caribbean Film Commissioners Network. And based on that, we really wanted to start building the bridge in collaborating and to showcase that filmmaker exchange. For several reasons, where once we are working with the Mexican Embassy, we can now show that there's a similarity in our culture and our storytelling. And once our local film community look at the Mexican films, they would realize there's such a similarity involved, and we can encourage and foster that networking process. So that's the beginning foundation of this collaboration.
And we want to get a little more into that foundation as the conversation progresses, though. But Mr. Ortega, asking you, though, so because Ms. Wills-Caton just spoke about some of those similarities, so I want to ask from your take, what are some of those similarities in terms of the relationship between FilmTT, ExporTT, and the Embassy of Mexico?
Well, I think, as the Film Commissioner had just stated, our countries share the same region, and as such, we have so many things in common. We both have multicultural societies. We both have the interest to increase our exchanges. We both have the interest of using trade and film as those drivers for increasing our level of relationship. And of course, we're interested in moving forward, not only in the film production and the cultural cooperation, but of course as well in increasing our trade relations and our investments. So I think we share that interest between the three organizations that are represented here. And I'm really pleased to know that this specific project, we have been moving forward quite successfully.
Now, you mentioned the word trade at least twice, Mr. Ortega, so I want to bring in Mr. Harrypersad and to ask what is the potential of this type of partnership moving forward as it pertains to trade and export?
It's always easy to do business with someone that you know. So these exchanges really help to exchange culture, let consumers know, well, listen, you're not that much different from this particular market from Trinidad and Tobago. And that sort of opens up things because when we visit markets from time to time, we spend a lot of time trying to explain to people to buyers where Trinidad and Tobago is situated, what we do, what we have on offer, and these sort of arrangements and activities help to share that information with the consumers, with people in Mexico, so that they understand, and vice versa, because trade goes both ways, and it's meant to be mutually beneficial to both countries. So we are able to learn about Mexico, and hopefully we will become desirous of their products, and similarly, they will learn about Trinidad and Tobago, and the same happens.
And I like the fact you talk about trade going both ways, because ideally that's what happens, but not necessarily all the time. But one of the things that I'm looking at, a recent development, and I'm not sure who will take the question, so we may just pass it around, but the impact of a new Netflix hub in Mexico. What does that mean for film coming out of the region? I think I'll start with you. Thank you, Film Commissioner.
So that is something we have been looking at. Netflix put up $200 million US in Mexico last year. Of course, they have a hub there, and I was reading for 2021, they're committing to $300 million US. And of course, it is by no surprise, this is exactly why we're collaborating. Netflix has a fulfillment center there. They're looking at the subscribers, and it is a really good exchange. If we know the dynamics of Spanish in the Caribbean, it's more than 60% speaking Spanish. So from the English side of it, we should really get our act together as film creators and really collaborate at that level to be able to, of course, either have that exchange so we can encourage now Mexican filmmakers to come across and film in Trinidad and Tobago. We have some lovely sightsee songs, and we have locations, we have really good things that they can collaborate with. And of course, we can go across there and we can encourage that training, because Mexico their content is the top 5 on Netflix. And so we really want to get as much as we can from the Mexican filmmaking community and share what we have as well.
But what does that kind of collaboration look like in the short term? Because right now we are operating within the context of the pandemic.
No, that's a good question. So what has been happening? So right now we have filmmakers working online with other companies. So we have filmmakers who the director from one country will hire a director locally, and the local filmmaker will go out and do the job on the ground. And so due to COVID, it's been changing the dynamics in how we create content. So there's a local crew, which is good, because now we're able to have persons being hired above the level, which is still the high level employment. Versus before, when the international crew would come in, we would normally be below the line, which is the lower level of employment. So with the COVID dynamic and having to use us online and virtually, it is a really good exchange. And that's in the short term, the benefit of these larger collaborations.
And is there anything else that you see with that collaboration, Mr. Ortega, in terms of looking at the impact of Netflix? One, the top 5, as would have just been indicated by Mrs. Wills-Caton, as well as the fact that this investment, this is a sizable investment by any stretch of the imagination. So what do you see coming out of this positively?
Well, I think as Mrs. Wills-Caton has just emphasized, this kind of projects, this kind of investments tells you one thing that it's quite clear for everyone. Mexico is a welcoming market for trade and of course for investments. And we have strategic features for trade and for investment. One of them, of course, is our geographic location. As you know, we are in the middle between North America, of course, and the rest of the hemisphere. We are the bridge that builds that relation. And of course, Mexico's market, not only for trade, but as I said, for investment as well, as this project has showcased, is exactly the best platform for increasing our relations. So I think this kind of projects just highlight the relevance of the Mexican market. And sometimes, and I want just to take this comment from Mr. Harrypersad, sometimes we see each other too distant, we see each other too different. But once you get into a closer relationship, you realize, and that this is quite crystal clear, you realize that we are much more similar than different. And in that sense, we tend to have better relationships once we get to know each other much better. So I think this kind of project just highlights that kind of of features.
No, I like the fact that you raised that, Mr. Ortega, and I want to take that, develop that with you, please, Mr. Harrypersad. It's one thing, we may know each other, we're colleagues, I know where you live, you have my phone number, but at the same time, what are some of the things that we would need to do to help build that process of knowing, of understanding, of making those incremental steps to foster trade relationships between partners like Trinidad and Tobago and Mexico?
Well, that's where ExporTT comes in, and that's what we do, try to foster those relationships. It often starts with research, and we have actually started a bit of that when I met with Rodrigo initially. We started thinking about different products that we could export to each market, and we actually had a discussion about Mexican tequila, Trinidad and Tobago chocolates, and an event surrounding that. So I think it starts with doing your research, understanding the consumer preferences in that particular market, what does well there, what products you have on offer that you may want to target, and then similarly, you know, what preferences. And I think Rodrigo already shared that we have similar cultures, so perhaps there's a lot that we like that they also like, and that might be a good start in terms of getting the products across. But I need to revisit that discussion with Rodrigo about the tequila and chocolates, though. It's too good an idea to pass up.
And let me just throw in a little something while you're on that train. We can talk about extra Benton as well, but we may speak about it when we return, but definitely we want to talk about the day in question, August the 15th. When we return, stay with us. Mexican movies are being showcased on August the 15th on TTT, and this is a collaboration with FilmTT, ExporTT, and the Mexican Embassy. We are speaking with the Film Commissioner of FilmTT, Leslie Ann Wills-Caton, General Manager, ExporTT, Dhanraj Harrypersad, and the Charge d'Affaires, Mexican Embassy in Trinidad and Tobago, Rodrigo Vazquez Ortega. Thank you so much for returning to the conversation. Now, on the day itself, what does the day look like, Ms. Wills-Caton? In terms of their schedule of events, what are some of those things that we can look forward to on TTT on the day itself?
Great. So on the day of, it's a 3-hour window. So from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., it's a collection of 3 Mexican films, as well as you'll get to hear from the filmmakers. We will see some information about FilmTT, about Mexico or Tobago, about ExporTT. And so it's a nice little scheduled event within that 3-hour window. Then we have a rerun at 10 p.m. And on the 19th, we also have another rerun at 7:30 p.m. And what I also want to say is we've had a really good collaboration through ExporTT, which is the importance of product placement. Caribbean Flavors is giving us a lot of hampers. And so right now, if you go online, you see we have hamper giveaways where they're collecting ingredients so you can win a hamper where you can make Mexican dishes while you're watching the Mexican Day of Mexican cinema. And so we're really encouraging through the local products to create Mexican delicacies and look at Mexican content. So it's a nice all-inclusive where you can definitely participate. So go online and you can see how we have all of these things that you can win. So check it out.
Definitely something to look forward to. But when you say go online where?
So you're looking at the Discover FilmTT or ExporTT, and you'll see we have competitions running where you can actually answer some very simple questions about Mexican Movie Day, about FilmTT, about ExporTT, and once you answer correctly, you're in the running to win a hamper from Caribbean Flavors.
I'm very happy that you raised the issue of product placement, and that begs the question, what defines what a consumable is? What is something to be exported? I'll throw that into your lap, please, Mr. Harrypersad, because I think sometimes we look at a very kind of surface level as opposed to saying, okay, well, there are different layers and levels and manners that we can engage each other in trade.
Okay. Well, so a consumable, I mean, ExporTT focuses more on the non-energy exports. Trinidad and Tobago has largely food and beverage products, as well as other items like in the construction sector, printing and packaging sector. Those are our major sectors. But if you're speaking about consumables, we largely speak about food and beverage products, which are quite great for product placements. in that you would usually see them in most scenes. Someone is eating something or having a beverage. I recall this morning I mentioned the product placement in the Grand Tour of Stag, where Jeremy Clarkson, I don't know if it was intended or not, but he had a stag in his hand. And everybody could see that, all right, this guy is holding a beer. I wonder where that beer is from. Let me Google what stag is and where it's from. I want to try that too. Similarly, on Netflix, there's a series called Kim's Convenience that feature Casey, and I think that one may have been planned. So it offers the ability to get your product out there to multiple viewers from different walks of life that you may not be able to get done in any other promotional strategy, because I think that viewership is much larger than you can expect in any sort of Facebook boost or anything like that in terms of the viewership that Netflix has.
All right, and I'm wondering who I should ask in terms of Mr. Ortega or Ms. Wills-Caton, in terms of what was the process of deciding, okay, these are the titles that we are going to use in this day?
Right, I can take that one. So at first, the Mexican Embassy let us collaborate with the Mexican Film Institute. Now, the Mexican Film Institute is like how FilmTT is in Trinidad and Tobago. They facilitate films. So when we met with the Mexican Film Institute, they sent us a list of films to look at. I was looking at these films, ExporTT looked at the films, and we chose the ones that had the most similarity in terms of our culture. Because what we wanted to show our local filmmakers is that when they see these films, they realize it can look as if it was made in Trinidad and Tobago. And that's the beauty of these 3 films that we chose. And it really is to spark the conversation to say, wait a minute, I can probably work with a Mexican filmmaker because our stories are very much similar.
And once again, I'll actually take this to Mr. Ortega in terms of opportunities that you can see for film production in Mexico or Trinidad and Tobago at this time. We got a view from the film commissioner here, but I'm wondering what it is you see from your end, Mr. Ortega.
Well, I would agree with film commissioner in terms of the similarities that we might find when we watch a movie, when we see the setting of a movie. And I think that as I said before in other opportunities I have, is that culture opens so many doors. It paves the way to so many other projects. I think that by film production, by film exchanges, we might find new opportunities for other kind of projects of different nature, right? Not only trade, but of course political cooperation, of course technical assistance, and so forth. So I think in this way, the film exchanges in a way will help people in Trinidad and Tobago when they realize what is the setting used in many of the Mexican films. They will realize how similar we are. And the same thing will happen when film producers do the same in Mexico. So we want to have more film production done in Mexico by film producers in Trinidad and the other way around. And I think this will be the first. This is just one of many initiatives we have working together. We're working in exchange between directors of both countries in order for them to meet, to greet, to exchange ideas, to see how they feature their own sentiments, their ideas in terms of film production. And I think that other initiative will also be really fruitful.
And it's interesting, sometimes you look at something and not a word is spoken, or it may be a word in a different language, but at the same time, you just totally get the energy, the meaning, the message. And with that in mind, Ms. Wills-Caton, I'll ask you to speak to the power of film, both as a marketing tool, something that can be used to share a message, as well as something that is worth investing in.
Absolutely. The power of film, I always say we really underestimate film. Especially with COVID, you realize how everything went visual. So as much as it's companies, so even if they're saying, okay, well, I don't want to invest on maybe doing something on social media, you saw a rise in persons even creating 5-minute content, 1-minute content online, because you wanted to be able to reach a larger audience. You had to now find clever ways of encouraging persons to come to your store online as opposed to offline. And so even with COVID, the film industry has expanded in a way that is exponential. Even if we look at animation, and I have to mention animation in the sense of now Music videos are using animation, commercials are using animation now, and you're seeing even films, you're seeing parts of animation. A lot of companies, and in terms of the use of that visual platform, without the words, if we know the first set of cinema didn't have words in it, and that is the power of that visual setting. People don't realize there's a color palette that you can use for film. Everything that's on the screen is very intentional. And once you understand the psychology, the marketing power of filmmaking, then this is really the foundation. Even if I have a product in a film, I'm not going to tell everyone, hey, I'm using a product from Caribbean Flavors. But when you see it, and if you see the main character using that product, then you would want to be just like that lead character. And that's really the message we've been pushing with the product placement, the consistency. So if a company provides a content for a film, and for the entire series, this person is using one particular product, then that is where the engagement comes in. And that's definitely what we've been pushing with the visual, the marketing power. Everybody is looking at their phone. With social media, there's not one person that don't check online every day. So the more you create content visually, you definitely have that engagement.
And with regard to pushing that information, we want to share with you once more. This is on Sunday, August the 15th. This Sunday from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. on TTT. There are reruns though. So Sunday 15th at 10 p.m. and at Thursday 19th at 7:30 p.m. Thank you so much, Rodrigo Vazquez Ortega, Leslie and Wills-Caton, and Dhanraj Harrypersad. On behalf of the entire news team, we want to thank you for tuning in.